if you're a graduate, because you've been living in the United Kingdom, because you were a student, you're more likely to have the vote in your parliament, the parliament that can still potentially make laws for your territory. But if you're not, you're very likely not to have the right to vote. So I do worry that, with the best will in the world, I think it's absolutely right that all British citizens in the world should be able to vote for the British Parliament, wherever they may be. But you are starting to create layers of representation which might, if you take a step back, end up being demographically skewed in a particular direction. If you're asking us whether we think we as British citizens resident on British soil should be represented in the mother of all parliaments that retains the right to determine issues as existentially important to Gibraltar as external relations, defence and internal security, well, frankly, the only answer you're going to get is yes. And if you ask us the question, don't expect us to say anything other than yes. Although we're very grateful for those members of parliament who take an interest in Gibraltar and in other overseas territories, are also part of the UK family of nations, it is not the obligation of members of parliament to take that interest. Those who do, I think, catch the infection of wishing to know more and wishing to spread that infection to other members of parliament, and it works well in that context. But it is really a voluntary system of interaction with the overseas territories, and therefore you have a group of British citizens not resident in the United Kingdom who do not have direct representation through a member of parliament in either of the chambers of the Westminster Parliament today. The balance has to be a fine one between having representation on those areas where we are not autonomous and having no representation, or at least not voting on, areas where we are not expecting you to vote for us. I mean, again, I'll be very clear with you. I think this is the opening of Pandora's box, and finding the right balance between those two is not easy. To an extent, you have an element of that in the context of the devolved parliaments, so there is a window into how you might do it with the overseas territories, given your wish to analyse whether you could do it with the overseas territories, which is what the committee has asked for our evidence on.